are my notes? Oh my God, here we are. Thank you so much, Laura. I said this last year, and it bears repeating. A first-time executive director could never ask for a better board chair than Laura, and could never ask for a better board than Day One's board. Yes! Another honor is what I have right now. I now have the incredible pleasure of introducing our first honoree, the celebrated writer, Jen Percy, and the author of the transformative book, Girls Play Dead, Acts of Self-Preservation. I read most of Girls Play Dead when I was commuting to the Day One office on the R train. There I was, sitting quietly on the train. But that was until I encountered sentence after sentence of Jen's writing that felt so true, so long unspoken, and so deeply aligned with the diversity of women's survival strategies that I was pulled out of my silent commute when I would involuntarily exclaim, yes, exactly, just what she wrote. Such is the arresting power of Jen's work. Appearing on lists as one of the best pieces of nonfiction for 2025, the need for Girls Play Dead has never been more urgent. For far too long, the ways in which we collectively understand and talk about girls' and women's responsive to sexual harm and violence has been overly simplistic and largely inaccurate. Media representations of sexual violence teach us that if a woman did not physically fight the man who was attacking her, then it didn't really happen. We're taught that if a woman remains still and externally unresponsive while a man is raping her, then it must not have been that bad. We are led to believe that if a woman helped a man remove her pants rather than have him cut them off with a knife, that she must have actually been into it. This is the message that there is only one right way to survive sexual violence. This very message is the dominant message that young people receive. This is the messaging that Day One works to correct through our classroom and community-based sexual violence prevention workshops. We engage young people in sustained and confronting dialogue that challenges them to think boldly and discard antiquated and harmful lessons about sexual violence. Now that Jen's book exists in the world, the whole world is invited into this discussion to challenge the way we see survivorship. Girls Play Dead has provided all of us with an essential conversation starter. Day One is thrilled to present Jen with our Voice of Amplification Award. This award honors an exceptional storyteller, a person whose work has radically changed the way we collectively understand survivorship. Girls Play Dead, Acts of Self-Preservation does just that. Please welcome me in presenting Day One's 2026 Voice of Amplification Award to the wildly brilliant Jen Percy.
Thank you all so much. This is a huge honor, and it feels surreal to see my book out there on the tables. This is really amazing. And especially, Anne, thank you so much for that generous and thoughtful introduction. It's been such an honor to get to know you through this process. And I have to say, it is very meaningful to be here today also, at a time when conversations about gendered violence and human rights feel threatened, feel precarious. And so I'll also say that it wasn't that surprising when I started writing this book. I had a few people tell me that, in fact, I didn't need to write it because we already know everything there is to know about this topic. As if Me Too happened and we were just done with the conversation. While reporting, I often thought of something a victim advocate told me, which is that one of the most dangerous things a girl can do is tell her story. And it's people like Anne and her colleagues, and my wonderful editor, Thomas Gebremedin, whose work in advocacy and publishing means these stories do not go untold. So thank you for acknowledging these stories matter, even in all their complexity, messiness, and nuance. Because that was another thing I encountered while writing this book, again and again, is that powerful people would tell me that certain victim stories were too messy, too strange, they didn't make sense, and they didn't matter. And we're all here because this work is about so much more than believing victims. It's about dismantling the system, dismantling myths and tired ways of thinking shaped by generations of inequality. And you know, writing a book can be a very lonely experience, and often we can only dream that it will make a difference in the world. And so I do want to acknowledge and say thank you to Day One for making this book bring us one step closer to that dream. It's such an honor to be acknowledged for work that required myself and others to be vulnerable in their storytelling. And thank you to everyone who trusted me with their story. Thank you for the affirmation and the assurance that this work means something. I'm just so incredibly grateful. Thank you.